In today's episode, I get online scammed. Wait. Welcome to Holly Yak Comics. My name's Nate, and I have issues. And today's issue is selling your comics. It's not something that I ever did until about a year ago. I started going through my collection, putting things in new bags and boards, and I realized that there were a lot of books I had that I wasn't holding on to because I really cared about them. I think you have to have a reason to collect a book, and that reason can be very broad. I think any reason is a good reason to collect a book, and I found a lot of books that I just didn't have a good reason to keep. So because I was continuing to buy books everywhere that I go, and I'm getting piles and piles here and there, I needed to start integrating these new purchases into my collection, and there just wasn't as much room as I would like. Also, I felt like if I got rid of these books, maybe I could make some money that I could then use to turn into books that I wanted to buy. This was like the vicious cycle. I decided I needed to sell some books, and the best way, the most economical, is going to be for me to check out eBay. So I open up an account, I start pricing my books and seeing what I feel like I can get for them. And of course I come across several things that I want to buy because eBay is just a collector's paradise / nightmare. It's the kind of place that if you go, you're going to find something you want. A particular book that I had been hunting for no good reason, but again, any reason's a good reason. It's around $20. And it's more of a novelty. It's not because it's anything I truly cared about. It's just this novelty book. And I decided I'm not going to pay $20 for it. $25, $35. I mean, the price really, you can pay anything, right? And then I come across this collection. It's 20 books. Within that lot were 4 books from the series that I was looking for, including the number 1, which cost $20 by itself. The seller was asking for $39.99. To me, that seemed high. And I decided to pass, but I had put it on my wish list. And this is where I learned my first lesson about eBay. If you click that little heart, yes, I clicked that little heart, I'm going to come back to this later, or I'm going to save it in my back pocket and I'm going to think about it. What that does is it lets the seller then send you an offer. And the seller sent out an offer for 50% off. So now it was 20 books for $20. That's the same price as the 1 book that I wanted in the entire set, which would come with 3 more from the run. Seemed like a no-brainer, right? So I've created an eBay account in order to sell some books, and I've turned it around, and I've bought myself 20 more books, most of which I don't care about, when the whole reason I was trying to figure out how to sell books was because I was running out of room in my collection. I'm an idiot. So this was 20 comic books. It's a significant little stack. Looks like this. The condition of these books is much lower than what I expected because the seller said, these books are in good condition. And I said, oh, that's great. I love books that are in good condition. I want things that are, good. Who doesn't like good? Well, good is a colloquial term that everybody uses to mean that's in nice shape. That's in good shape. But this was not the colloquial use of the word good that people would all use in conversation. This was the specific comic book grade of good, which allows for a lot of errors and defects and damage. In a numbered grade, this could be anywhere from a 1.8 to a 3 if something's in good condition. So these books could have a crease running all the way down. They could be missing pieces. The cover could be literally detached and it still can qualify as a good condition book. Thankfully, none of them are in that bad of shape, maybe a few, but some of them are certainly in way worse shape than I would have made the purchase for, probably. Let me end this by saying, before we go into the books themselves, I'm not disappointed with what I got. I think it's okay. I don't know what I'm going to do with most of the books, but that's part of collecting. All right, so let's get into the books that I did buy in this lot so we can see, why did I buy it in the first place? So first off, I've already shown this one because this is the one that I kept in the bag. This is Fantastic Four number 319, Doom versus the Beyonder. I don't think there's any significance to this at all. It's a little bit beat up, but overall, I would say this one's probably, it's fair to say this is in very good shape or fine. Alpha Flight number 63, pretty beat up. Is it a good condition? I think it's a little bit better than that, but there's quite a bit of wear on the side increasing. Alpha Flight's not a book that I read very much of. I do remember this miniseries, The Exterminators. I don't remember if it had something to do with Excalibur, but maybe it's just because this was the time period that I was reading Excalibur, but I do remember The Exterminators, and I'm more familiar with those characters than I am the characters from Alpha Flight. G.I. Joe Special Mission number 15. This one here, I thought, I don't know why, it reminded me of that Silent series that they did, where the whole issue was without dialogue, and that one can be a pricey book. This one I don't think has any connection, or is, especially that it's G.I. Joe Special Missions. It's not G.I. Joe proper. But speaking of Marvel's G.I. Joe proper series, we've got G.I. Joe number 69. Nice. This one has a gold-faced Destro on the front and a couple of Cobra soldiers. I think that's kind of cool, even though I'm not a G.I. Joe collector. This one is at least a cool-looking cover. And the back here advertises a TSR Marvel superhero game. So, company that used to make Dungeons & Dragons, making a superhero game. Nom number 23. This one's in pretty good shape. I never read this series, but this is one that I think there are some people who collect the runs. New Mutants number 68. It says Gossamer Comes A-Calling. I don't know if this is a first appearance of this character. I don't really remember much about the New Mutants. It wasn't a series that I read. The X books that I was following back during the time that this book came out, I was reading Excalibur and X Factor were the ones that I enjoyed reading. We've got an Incredible Hulk number 348. It's kind of a cool cover, and I have some Hulk books, but I'll probably end up putting a Hulk lot together and putting those books up for sale at some point, because, you know, it's not, again, any reason's a good reason to keep it, but Hulk is not something that I feel like I want to collect. We've got Thor number 396. Black Knight on the cover. I have a hard time getting less excited about a hero than Thor. Just not a character that I would collect in any way, shape, or form, and were it not for what I wanted out of this set of books, I never would have touched this one. Daredevil, Man Without Fear. This is a huge, I think it's a double, giant size spectacular. This is number 260. So you can tell when you pick this one up that it almost feels like an annual. It's so thick. It's got Typhoid Mary in it. I remember reading some Daredevil back in the day, but I just always felt like people said, oh, Daredevil is, he's like Marvel's Batman. And I'm like, yeah, but Batman is DC's Batman, and that's what I'm going to read. So not a character that I followed much either. This one doesn't fit with the rest. Like, this one's significantly older. The date on this one is 1977. So this one's almost as old as I am. But this is Iron Man number 102, and it has Dawn of the Dread Knight. I thought that maybe the Dread Knight there was the Black Knight. What I do remember is the back of this has an ad for the movie Orca, which was sort of a B-movie version of Jaws. This book's in terrible shape. This cover is almost falling off. This has significant staining. I mean, this one is just, it's staples detached. It's barely hanging on here. Completely detached up here. This one's in rough shape. This one is almost ready to be used as packing material, sadly. A couple of Avengers books. Avengers number 190, so this is from 79, has a real nice 25-cent sticker on it. I love when people put a garage sale sticker right on the front of a book. This is, I was never a big Avengers fan either. I am I'm a Justice League guy, DC. That said, though, one of the characters I do like who shows up in the Avengers and the Fantastic Four is She-Hulk. So this is Avengers number 296, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to reading this one, though, because Shulky's on the cover. So now we'll get into some books that I actually was happy to get as part of this collection. All of those were like the flotsam. That's extra. So the first one that I was excited to get is Gru the Wanderer, number 44. It's beat up. you know, but this is, I loved Sergio Aragonés. His art in Mad Magazine, he was hilarious and exaggerated, and he has a very specific style. And this was kind of a Conan book or a Conan parody. And I read it here and there, and I always enjoyed what I read. I remember as a kid trying to copy his art style too. This one is unfortunately in pretty rough shape. We've got a significant stain, we've got staple tear, but for a book that I don't think really holds any value aside from reading it, I'm excited to have this one. The next two hit that nostalgia button the same way the four I was hunting did. I've got issue 1 and issue 3, which means I need to hunt down issue 2. We've got Willow, the official movie adaptation. So here's number 1, and here's number 3. And this was a great movie. Ron Howard directed this. I think Spielberg was involved somehow. This was a ton of fun. It still holds up today. The series, if you saw it on Disney Plus, it didn't hold up so well, but I would like to get the second book of this and have the set. This is something that I'm happy to add to my collection. Whew, all right, let's talk heartbreakers. I saw this picture, and like I had said before, the pictures were pretty low res, so I didn't realize how bad of condition this one's in. This is a recognizable Todd McFarlane cover. It's The Amazing Spider-Man number 307. I had this book at one time. I was a big collector of McFarlane stuff, and the chameleon sausage fingers here like really creeped me out as a kid. And this was another, not necessarily this cover, but Todd McFarlane was somebody whose art I would try to copy a lot. I think anybody who collected comics in the 90s and thought, I'm going to draw, we did we all did that. But this book is, I don't know if you can see, like it has like a textured filth to it. It has water damage. Something was spilled on it. Pages are wavy. The pages are stained. The pages have staining. The back, a lot of staining. You can just see this one here might actually hold some value in good shape because it's a book that people would want to collect, but in this condition, it's just absolute garbage. So this one hurts. This one hurts to look at and think, ugh. All right, so why did a DC fan, we're down to the final 4 books, why did a DC fan buy an entire lot of Marvel books to get a couple that he didn't care about at all and a couple that he sort of cared about? And here's why. As an 80s kid, I just don't think you could grow up and miss the novelty of this character. So we've got Alf, number 4, number 3, and this one, I think Willie is the Alf. Oh, and the back of this one. Great, great, great. Silverhawks. More 80s nostalgia. We've got number 2. Look at the video camera Alf is using there, man. That thing it would outweigh him. And then, yes, the whole reason I bought this collection was so that I could have Alf number 1. Alf number 1, still a $20 to $30 to $40 book, depending on condition. In really high grades, it can go for even more. This book is not a high grade. This book has staining. It has, I don't know if I can show you on the camera or not, there's almost like a line of color break here where I think maybe it was left in the sun, maybe just this edge was peeking out and it got a little bit sun faded. There's some definite rolling on the spine. You can see that the back ad is starting to roll onto the front. Corners are okay. It's got a big crease right there, a big color breaking crease here. The corner itself is bent, but for $20 for all these books, I'm not upset. I'm happy. I got the book that I wanted, and it's stupid. But that's a reason. And any reason is a good reason to keep a book, a good reason to add it to your collection. I'm not disappointed in what I got. I'm happy to have the Alf books. I'm happy to have the Willow. I'm happy to have Gru. I do want to end with one more book, though. As an independent collector, somebody who likes to go beyond superheroes, I saw potential in this book, and it kind of sold out really quick. There was a lot of buzz about it, and it was hard to find a first printing of the number one. I was able to add it to my pull list, but my local comic shop couldn't get it for me, so I was able to get number two and number three all on my own. But this one here, I tracked down. I got this for $12.95 plus the shipping and the tax, under $20. And currently this book is still pretty hot. It's through the roof. This is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue 1. This is the first print. This is a book that I'm honestly a little afraid to even take out of the bag. It's in like perfect shape. It hasn't been read. If this continues to be a desirable book, it might even be one that I would be willing to get graded or to sell. And I could pick up a second or third printing and be just as happy. So I feel like I made out here, even if maybe I didn't make out as well here. A little weird that they're both anthropomorphic animal type things. What do you think? Would you have bought this collection for $20? Like I said, I don't feel like overall I'm very disappointed with what I did, but let me know what you think down in the comments, and feel free to give me a follow, a like, a subscribe, whatever it is. I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks.